Upon receiving your shipment, make sure you have the right number of cartons. If you ordered a Model 100, then you should have 4 cartons. Check the model number on each carton to be sure they're the same. Recheck your floor-to-floor height and your rough opening size to ensure that you have the right model and size. No need to open any cartons unless you do. If you have ordered a model other than the Model 100, those models are Model 70, 40, 30, and 20. Then you will only receive 3 cartons. Let's begin looking at each carton and its contents. The tread carton contains the treads. The hardware carton contains all hardware and instruction sheet except the guide frame for Model 100, which will be inside the large box along with the door panel. Note the box inside the door panel box. It contains the guide frame, part number 5, for Model 100. Be sure to check the distance between the slide bars on the panel bracket, which is factory set at 18 7/16 plus or minus a 32nd. Once you find the instruction sheet, we suggest you study Figure 1 and acquaint yourself with all the parts to get a mental picture of the completed stair. Let's begin to install our Bessler Model 100. Going to the rough opening, draw a line 1 5/8 inches up from the bottom of the jamb all the way across the header where the door panel will be hinged. Drive 2 small nails partially in to act as a guide to hold the hinge against when fastening hinge to jamb. While your helper holds the door and hinge against the nails above, center the hinge between the side jambs and partially drive in 2 more nails through the screw holes in the hinge. This will hold your door in position while you complete installation using number 10 by 1 inch pan head screws. Remove all the nails and finish putting the number 10 by 1 inch screws in the rest of the holes. See Figure 4 of instructions. Hook the short angle of the guide frame, part number 5, on top of the attic floor in the center of the finished opening directly above the door hinge. And attach with number 10 by 1 inch screws, leaving the 3 end holes to be used later. Secure a long angle or front of guide frame to the face of the jamb using number 10 by 1 inch screws. After all screws have been tightened, measure distance between the faces of the slide bars, part number 5A, to be sure it's still 18 7/16 as set at factory. Note, parts left or right hand are designated by facing the front of the opening, looking up at the door panel. Place the right spring drum assembly, consisting of parts numbers 6, 7, and 8, which has been pre-assembled at the factory, on the right side of the opening, and match the 3 holes in the end of the drum mounting bracket to those left open in the guide frame, part number 5, and insert 3 number 10 by 1 inch screws. Complete the installation of the drum assembly by inserting number 10 by 1 inch screws in the rest of the holes on both the attic floor and jamb face. Now repeat this process for installing the left spring drum assembly. Install jamb brackets, part number 9, at 15 inches on center from the end of the finished opening as shown in figure number 1 using number 10 by 1 inch screws. Repeat other side. Remove stringers, handrail, and handrail post from stringer carton. Put the handrail and post aside for now. Lay the stringers on edge, on the floor, opposite each other, with the tread gains or slots toward the inside. Starting at the bottom of the stringers, insert the step or ladder rods, placing 1 washer on the rod, inserting it through either side, and putting nuts on it. but do not tighten at this point. Put in all step rods except the top 3, which will be installed later. Starting at the bottom again, insert the treads, placing the chamfered edge flush with the front edge of the stringer. You may want to drill a small pilot hole in the end of the treads to assist in driving screws. Use number 10 by 1 1/4 inch screws. Again, leave out the top 3 treads. Make certain treads are seated at the bottom of the slots, as the treads have been cut to 17 7/8 inches to act as a spacer for proper width of stairway section, which will be at 18 7/8 inches. Now tighten step rod nuts. With one person in the attic to guide the stairway on the guide frame, have your helper raise the top of the stairway so the top stops, part 21, are above the slide bars, part 5A on the guide frame. Bend the stringers in slightly, figure 5, so the slide bars will go into the grooves at the outside back edge of the stringers without having to force the stairway onto the guide frame. With the stairway now engaged into the guide frame and the slide bars within the grooves, raise the stairway above the empty tread slots and install the top 3 step rods and treads. Going to the bottom of the stairway, remove the catch lock, part number 14, and bottom stop, part number 22. Slide the stairway above the panel brackets, part number 10. Then pull stairway down until slide bars into the grooves. Replace the catch lock and bottom stop. Install cable holders, part number 13, where holes are drilled at about the 4th tread from the bottom. Cable holders are installed on the outside of the stairway on both sides using 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch stove bolts. Assemble and install handrail, part number 3, and posts, part number 4, using number 10 by 1 1/4 inch screws. Refer to figure 1. Handrail can be installed on either side of the stairway. Install top post to the rear of the 2nd tread, then hold handrail as a guide in order to find the position of lower posts. Note, handrail can be installed lower or can be shortened if space in attic does not allow for normal installation. stairway section all the way down until the top tread is level with the attic floor and the top stops, part 21. Engage the round tube on the guide frame. This is important as it provides the load-bearing capacity of the top portion. You are now ready to hook up cables. Start with the panel drum, part number 7, by placing a piece of tape on the drum near the end of the cable. Release the cable from the shipping post and carefully allow the spring drum to come to a resting position. From this point, rotate the drum manually for 3 complete turns in the direction the cable comes off the drum, making sure the cable is still on drum, thus the reason for the tape. After attaining 3 turns, firmly grasp the end of the cable, allowing the drum to turn. Take cable over the top of the stringer drum, threading cable through the idler wheel on the jam bracket, part number 9. Now, hook the swedged fitting into the keyhole slot on the sheave wheel, part number 19, on the equalizer bar. Make certain the fitting is seated properly before releasing cable. Hook up the other side in the same manner. Release the stringer cable in the same manner as you did the spring cables from the shipping post, allowing drum to come to a resting place. Now turn drum 3 or 4 complete turns for initial tension before taking the end of the cable down to the cable holder, part number 13, on the side of the stairway. Place the swedged fitting in slot. Make certain the fitting is seated properly before releasing cable. Place a 1 1/4 inch door stop on 3 faces of the jam at 1 3/8 inches up from the ceiling, avoiding only the side where the guide frame is installed. You are now ready to operate the stairway. If it's necessary to adjust tension on any of the drums, unhook the cable and allow it to wind slowly on the drum without losing the initial tension. Add or remove a wrap of cable as required and replace it to the holder. Keep the tension on both sides as near equal as possible. Repeat if necessary, being careful not to let the cable slip from your hands. We suggest you wear gloves when handling cables. You have now completed the installation of the Bessler Stairway Model 100. Remember, Model 70, 40, 30, or 20 will be installed in a very similar manner. Please follow instructions provided with each model. Welcome to the world of Bessler quality. Introduced almost 100 years ago, the original Bessler disappearing stairway.